All right, so I'm just going to run through very quickly using completing the square to both solve and sketch a quadratic equation. Okay, so exam question could say completing the square. I think it's more likely to say something like by writing in the form x minus h squared plus k equals 0. So this here is your completed square form. Okay, so I think more likely to use this than to use the phrase completing the square. So I'm going to use it to solve and then sketch this quadratic. All right, first example I'll do, there's going to be no coefficient on the x squared, no number in front of the x squared. And then in a second video I'll do one where there is a coefficient there, and that just adds a couple of steps to our process. So first thing I'm going to do is move the 5 over to the right hand side here. So I've got x squared plus 8x is equal to minus 5. Now I want to make the left hand side look like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is add something to the left hand side. That means I can rewrite the left hand side as a binomial squared, two terms in a bracket squared. And what I always add on the left hand side is the coefficient of the x term divided by 2 and then squared. So what I am going to do is take 8, divide it by 2, and then square it. All right. So I have x squared plus 8x. 8 divided by 2 is 4, so it's plus 4 squared. Okay, if this was minus 8x, I'd have minus 4 squared. Okay, so take the sign in as well. Is equal to minus 5, and then I've added a 4 squared on the left hand side, so I need to do it on the right hand side as well. All right, so 8 divided by 2 is 4, and squared is going there, and then because I'm adding it on the left hand side, I need to add it on the right hand side of the equation as well, so my equation is still balanced. Now, x squared plus 8x plus 4 squared is the same thing as x plus 4 squared. Okay, if that was minus 8 and that was minus 4, it would be x minus 4 squared. So if I was to square this out, x multiplied by x is x squared, 4 multiplied by 4 is 4 squared. So there it is. And in this middle term, so I'd be multiplying x plus 4 by x plus 4. So I'd end up with 4x plus 4x, which is 8x. Okay, if you think of our shorthand for multiplying out a binomial, it's first term squared, second term squared, and then first term by second term by 2. X by 4 by 2 is 8x. Okay, so that's why I divide by 2 here. It's like doing that shortcut in reverse and forcing the left hand side to be like this. All right, right hand side then, I just figure that out. 4 squared is 16, 16 minus 5 is 11. Okay, so that is in completed square form. At this point, I would, you can square root both sides to solve it, and then also move the 11 over to get a little bit more information about it for the sketching. Okay, so first thing I'll do is just to solve this. So x plus 4 squared is equal to 11. So I want to get rid of that squared, so I'm going to get the square root of the left hand side. If I get the square root of the left hand side, I need to get the square root of the right hand side. If you're using square root like that, you need to take in the plus and minus case, so it could be equal to plus or minus the square root of 11. Okay, so the square root and the square here cancel each other out, and you're just left with x plus 4 is equal to plus or minus root 11. Bring the 4 over, x is equal to minus 4 plus or minus root 11. There's your solution in third form. For this, for sketching it, I'm going to work it out in decimal form. So minus 4 plus root 11 is minus 0.68. and then minus 4 minus root 11 is minus 7.32. So there's my two solutions or roots of the equation. That's where it crosses the x-axis. Okay, so just looking at this over here, I'm finding these 2 points here. Okay, to use the completed square, then to get a little bit of extra information about, I generally move the 11 over. That's kind of what completed square form looks like. So x plus 4 squared minus 11 equals 0. And then the information I can get for it, I've kind of summarized it over here. So x minus h to be squared plus k equals 0. That's my standard completed square form. So when it's in this form here, x equals h is your axis of symmetry. Okay, so it's the line that your curve is symmetrical about. So I'm expecting h to be negative. In this one here, it's positive. Okay, so x is equal to minus 4 then is going to be my axis of symmetry. So just pay close attention to the signs that we're expecting. So I'm expecting minus h. My minus h, if minus h is plus 4, then h is equal to minus 4. So x is equal to minus 4. That's my axis of symmetry. HK then is your vertex. Your vertex is a max or a min point of the curve. If the curve is U-shaped, it's a minimum point. If it's upside down U-shaped, it's maximum point. So again, it's minus h I'm expecting. This is plus h. So if minus h is equal to plus 4, then h is equal to minus 4. So minus 4. I'm expecting then k to be positive. So my k is minus 11. So plus k is minus 11. So k is minus 11. And that's my vertex. As I said, vertex just means maximum or minimum point, the turning point of the graph. The sign here, kind of in front of your bracket, or else you can go back to your original form here, in the kind of original standard quadratic form. This is a plus x squared, or also this is kind of a plus here. There's no minus in front of my bracket. So the fact that this is plus x squared, if this is positive, your graph is U-shaped. So if it's positive, it's like a smiley face. If it's a minus, so if this was minus x squared, that's a negative. So it's a frowny face. Okay, that helps to remember. It helps to remember. So positive here means it's going to be U-shaped. So my graph is going to be U-shaped. So I know that. And then the other thing you can take from the original standard form that this question was given in is that the number, the constant at the end, the plus 5 here, is where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, so 0, 5 is where this crosses the y-axis. So it goes through 0, 5 as well. Okay, so the reason for that is if you subbed 0 in for x squared, that'd be 0. If you subbed it in for that, that would be 0. You just left with plus 5. Okay, so when you sub 0 in for x, and you know the y-axis is the line where x is equal to 0, you're not moving left or right, you're left with 5. Okay, so 0, 5 is where it crosses the y-axis. So I have all the information I need to quickly sketch this. What I will just do before that is, how can you use the roots to help you get the signs of this correct? Okay, because it is a kind of decision you need to make. Oh, is this x is equal to 4 or is this minus 4? Should this be 4 or minus 4? Should this be 11 or minus 11? Well, if I was to quickly kind of sketch a really rough version of this, it goes through minus, I'll say minus 0.7, and I'll say minus 7.3. So I know it goes through those 2 points. It's plus x squared, so I know it's going to be U-shaped. So if you draw something like that really quickly. Now, you're trying to decide from this form here, should my axis of symmetry be plus 4 or minus 4? Well, look at that graph. Where's the line of symmetry? Is it over here where plus 4 would be, or is it here where minus 4 would be? It's here, okay? So it makes sense that x is equal to minus 4 is your axis of symmetry, okay? Your axis of symmetry then, that is the x coordinate in your minimum or maximum point, okay? So that is minus 4. It wouldn't make sense for the max or min, the turning point of this graph, to be over here. So that must be minus 4. Should this be 11 or minus 11? What do I do with the sign there if you're a little bit unsure and you have the two roots? Well, this is a plus x squared graph. It's U-shaped. Does it make sense for the minimum point of this curve to be plus 11 and up here? If it's going through these points and it's U-shaped, I don't see how the turning point can be up here in the positive 11. So this must be minus 11 down here, okay, and not plus 11. All right, so if you have your two solutions, it's the number halfway between those that is your axis of symmetry. That is the x coordinate in your turning point. So if you have the roots, you know that's going to be minus 4 and not plus 4. If it's U-shaped and it crosses the x-axis twice, well then it must have a minimum point, and the minimum point must be negative. It must be down here. If it crosses twice and it's U-shaped, the turning point can't be up here in the positives. Okay. If this was minus x squared and the whole thing was like that, it was an upside down U, well then it would be a maximum point and it would be up here, and I would expect it to be positive. Okay, so if you have these two roots, that can help you get that minus 4 and that minus 11 as well. Okay, if it's one where you can't solve, so sometimes you might get a negative number over here, you can't get the square root of a negative number, you can't get the roots, it doesn't cross the x-axis, then you need to remember this and be able to get this without using the roots. But quite often you're able to get these roots or solutions, and I think that makes your job of figuring out the signs of these that little bit easier. And very quickly then, just to draw this kind of correctly, so my x's need to go over as far as minus 8. I don't need to worry about any positive x's. My y value needs to go down as far as minus 11. I don't really need to worry about any positive y values. So if I'm sketching this quickly, just make sure I have enough space to go over to minus 8. You should do this using a ruler. So minus 8, minus 7, minus 6, minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0. Maybe just go a little bit further. So there's minus 9 and there's 1. So at 0 here, I'm going to make sure to go down as far as minus 11. So again, you should be doing that using a ruler. So 1, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6, minus 7, minus 8, minus 9, minus 10, minus 11, minus 12. So let's put my points on that. What do I know? I know that it crosses at minus 0.68, so put that in as best you can. You know it crosses at minus 7.3, so kind of as best you can. You know minus 4 is the axis of symmetry. You can draw that dashed line on if it helps. I find I don't need it once you have the minimum point, but if that helps to put that on, do put that on. Minus 4, minus 11 is my minimum point, so that's down here. And it crosses, so actually plus 5. I could have drawn this a bit higher and put plus 5 on, and that would have given me another point to hit on my curve, but this is going to be enough to draw this curve. So down here, and that constant, that's probably a little bit narrow. I should probably have a better kind of constant curving shape to that, but with drawing, never my strong point. Okay, so that is completing the square to solve a quadratic and then to get the maximum or minimum point, the axis of symmetry, using the original form to get the y-axis. So just being able to draw a quick, accurate enough sketch of a quadratic by completing the square.